To this now, with the 2026 local government elections drawing closer, parties are stepping up their mayoral candidate announcements. ActionSA has named candidates across 8 Mpumalanga municipalities, while BOSA has unveiled its Tshwane candidate, Moshiga. The ANC has announced its pool of mayoral nominees following a rigorous selection process. We now unpack what these choices reveal about the political battle for municipalities with political analyst Prof Sipho Seepe. Prof, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I know we spoke about this a little earlier before the technical gremlins actually entered into this conversation, but this is ActionSA's first time contesting local government in Mpumalanga, having only run in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal back in 2021. Let's talk about what this entering a new province this late in the electoral cycle actually buys the party in terms of visibility, or could this be a resource-thin gesture that risks embarrassing single-digit results?
Well, I think what parties need to do, especially those that are starting or entering a new space, is to test the waters and also to check whether there are any chances of winning. And what the ActionSA has done is to have done that assessment, and it has actually done that on the understanding that the people that it must target are largely members of the ANC or voters of the ANC. And with so much unhappiness with the performance of the ANC in terms of delivery, ActionSA has decided to say it will go one step at a time. Instead of fielding all mayoral candidates in every province, it has target those that it thinks it has a better chance. So it is an issue of resource constraint, but it's also that the party itself is still a new party. The Herman Mashaba has not yet become a national figure. He's actually trying to position himself or position ActionSA as a national party, but he's also being realistic about the chances of winning.
I mean, the ActionSA's core pitch is ethical governance and service delivery, isn't it? So in municipalities that are ANC strongholds and have had almost no opposition infrastructure historically, what's the realistic pathway from credible candidate to actual votes? And is ActionSA more likely to be a spoiler that fragments the anti-ANC vote than a serious contender?
Well, I think it positions itself as a serious contender. Remember, what Mashaba is going to be selling is his experience in Joburg. If people can remember, he walked away from the mayoralship, and he was able to work very closely in that coalition with the EFF and the ANC. And in the sense that he was able to have less government that was disrupted, because he was still also trying to talk the language of the ANC, the language of the EFF. But what he tried to do is to simply say, my posture is also to be pro-poor and pro-black. And this is also what led him to leave the DA, because he seemed to be prioritizing the same constituency that EFF was prioritizing and the same concerns that were emerging from the ANC. So he was able to say, I'm going to use my position as a magnet to find convergence and also to serve his people or the people of Johannesburg. So when he walked away, it was not because of failure. So as also somebody who was a real businessman is going to say, I have run a business, not somebody who got shares. I started something from the ground. It was successful. I have run Johannesburg, which is a very important municipality, and there were less protests. And I was responsive to them. So he's going to sell that message. It's the same approach that the DA did when he took over in Cape Town.
Let's now talk about BOSA, Build One South Africa movement. Its leader, Musa Maimane, described Moshiga as understanding the challenges facing residents, but she's untested, to be honest. She's untested as a mayoral level administrator. So what does her background actually equip her to do differently from the incumbent, Dr. Nasipi Moya, who already leads the multi-party coalition in Tshwane?
Well, that is a difficult thing with people who have not been tested. And it comes down to the voters. I mean, we know also when it comes to when employers want to employ somebody, and here the employers are the voters. Employers will say, what's your track record? And if they say you are here to experiment, they may not be so likely to buy your story. So you need to do much more than incumbents to be able to persuade people to move away from the incumbents, especially if the incumbent is not seen as somebody who's failing. You need to actually show that, yes, I may be untested, but these are the attributes that I bring that this other person who's an incumbent or other people who have been incumbents have failed to do. So it is always a steep hill for newcomers because they have to prove themselves, and they have not proven, they don't have a track record of success.
And the fact that BOSA merged with Rise Mzansi and the Good Party to form Unite for Change in October, explicitly to sort of consolidate the anti-ANC, anti-DA third wave vote, so to speak. Yet Rise Mzansi has separately fielded Sarah Mabotsa as its own Tshwane mayoral candidate. In fact, we spoke to her last weekend. Doesn't having two Unite for Change aligned candidates in the same metro sort of undercut the entire rationale for the merger?
Oh, it definitely does. And actually, it's unfortunate because if you listen to the posture of BOSA and Rise Mzansi and Good, you find much similarities. So you would have thought that instead of contesting individually, one would have thought that they would actually say, because we have a common cause and we have a common message, let us actually field a candidate that will speak for all of us. So effectively, it really undermines their posture of unity.
Yeah. Now, let's talk the ANC now. With ActionSA and BOSA or Unite for Change, the Democratic Alliance and others all announcing candidates aggressively just months ahead of the ANC, what does the ANC's comparatively slower candidate rollout signal? Could it be internal contestation over who gets deployed or simple institutional inertia?
Well, I think ANC has a lot of problems. First, it has been busy with challenges at the national level. And at the same time, it knows that for it to succeed, it needs to be able to separate national issues from the local issues. So that is the first posture that they are having. But at the same time, you also have people who have been elected at the regional level. If you take, for instance, in Johannesburg, you have Dada Maria, who's an incumbent, and you have that incumbent who has been defeated in the electoral process of the ANC within, where you have a new person who is a regional chairperson. In the past, a person like that would have been selected to become a mayor because they enjoy the political support. But then you have also an outlier who has been announced as the Reverend Chikane, and the former DG. Yes, he may have a lot of power politically, but whether he is a person who can be entrusted with running a municipality is something else. And also, his age does not count, especially if you want to attract the new voters.
And given the ANC's losses in Johannesburg, Tshwane and Ekurhuleni already forcing it into coalition or opposition roles in the last term, just how much can a manifesto that the party will be launching tomorrow realistically repair that damage versus the party needing structural organizational renewal that it hasn't even undertaken?
Well, first of all, anything that the ANC has said so far, it has said many times. This is why its message is, again, give us another chance. And this is the same message that it gave 5 years ago, the same message that it gave 10 years ago. What we have seen is a party that is declining, but it's also a party whose performance in municipalities have left much to be desired.
All right.
A failure that is acknowledged by its own president.
All right, Professor, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right, that was Professor Sipho Seepe. It's just sharing his political party announcement analysis and about some of the parties that have already introduced to the nation their mayoral candidates.